Militarily Speaking, Episode 4, A Million Thanks with founder Shauna Fleming.
This episode, we talk with Shauna Fleming from A Million Thanks and discuss how this organization supports the military community. And of course, Tom, we're going to play Military Minute.
Excellent. I love that game.
I know you do.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Tom McLean and my wonderful co-host, Jody Vickery.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Again, welcome.
By the way, can I interrupt you for a second? We're going to go a little off script here. I know. Can you believe it's almost May already?
I know. Military Appreciation Month. I can't wait.
And our guest speaker might have something to do with National Military Appreciation Month as well. So we'll get into that. Several calendar events are coming up this month. We've got Military Spouse Appreciation Day on the 6th, Mother's Day, coming up a couple of days after on Sunday, Armed Forces Day, Memorial Day, Children of Fallen Patriots Day. It's also month of the military caregiver. Our banking centers are going to be really, really active out there this month. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, back to you, Jody.
Yeah, this is a great time of year. Again, everybody, welcome to our show. We're excited to have you listening and to let you learn more about A Million Thanks and to share our Military Minute answer from last episode. We are honored to have as our guest today, Shauna Fleming. Shauna Fleming founded A Million Thanks in 2004 when she was just 15 years old. The campaign began as a community service project in Orange County, California, with the goal of sending 1 million cards and letters of appreciation to U.S. military serving around the globe. The local project turned into a national cause just 3 weeks after its initial launch. Tens of thousands of letters poured in each week, written by individuals, churches, schools, business, and other organizations. Shauna was interviewed by all kinds of media outlets around the country to help spread the word about A Million Thanks. Within 6 months of starting, Shauna and her team of volunteers had already reached their initial goal of 1 million letters. I'm looking forward to hearing directly from Shauna today how far beyond that initial goal they've traveled. So welcome, Shauna.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
We're happy to have you. Tom and I have both benefited from the story behind A Million Thanks that you've shared and that your father has shared with us over the past many months that we've worked with you. We'd really love for you to share that with our listeners today and let them know and give them a little visibility into what inspired your mission and the driving purpose behind A Million Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. So when I started A Million Thanks initially, I was a freshman in high school. And to be honest, I did it as a community service project because we were required to fulfill a certain amount of hours before graduation. And so it kind of worked, each year. And of course, the school provided a ton of different options for us to get out into the community and to volunteer and to help with organizations. But to be honest, I didn't really find one on there that really tugged at my heartstrings. I thought they were all very, worthwhile and worthy causes. But, I was kind of more of the mindset of if I'm going to be volunteering, I would love to do so joyfully and not feel forced into it. And so I started thinking, well, gosh, what if I came up with my own idea? And so I kind of ran it by the school and said, hey, I'd love to come up with my own idea. And they said, well, bring it back to us, and present what you have. And so, of course, at that point, I had nothing. But this was in 2004. So it was just a couple years after 9/11, after the war started. And obviously what was in our news and what was being shared, across media outlets every single day was all about our military and all about our troops. And so I kind of thought, well, gosh, I would love to incorporate and do something around that, but I don't have any experience with the military other than my grandfathers both serving. I had no close family or friends in the military, but I just kind of, I don't know. I woke up in the middle of the night one night and just thought, gosh, what if we could just support them in some way, a super simple way of just sending thank you letters. And so I brought that idea to my dad the next day and we brainstormed a little bit and he goes, well, it'd be really cool. You should come up with a catchy name and, all of that and, come up with a goal. And so I thought, okay, well, if we collect 1 million letters, that would be really cool. And we could call it Thanks A Million because, it's a common thing. People say it all the time. So of course I go on and I look on the early days of websites and Thanks A Million was already taken. So I thought, well, I can't do that. And so I rearranged it a little bit and thought, okay, well, a million thanks is close enough. And so that's really how the idea of a million thanks was born. And I took the idea to my school and presented it and asked for their help, and they immediately got on board. And so I thought, well, I'll just kind of go through my local community, other schools, churches, local businesses, things like that, and collect letters. And that was really supposed to be the extent of it. And like you said, within 3 weeks of starting A Million Thanks, it really shot across the nation. And we began getting tens and thousands of letters coming in every single day for our military. And that really hasn't stopped over the last, 18 years. We just celebrated 18 years in March. So
yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. It doesn't, it's funny, every time I've done interviews over, the course of the organization, I started it last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. I remember getting to 10 years and thinking, I'm not old enough to have an organization. And now here we are, just a couple years shy of celebrating 20 years. So we're really excited.
I love that backstory. I've got a 17-year-old myself, and he is right now kind of where you were, trying to figure out his community service project for his honor society contribution. So I may tell him this story, or better yet, have him listen to this podcast when it airs here shortly.
Yeah, there you go. Nothing better than starting something yourself.
Exactly.
And Shauna, what started out as just a project turned into a career and a lifetime and a great journey for almost 2 decades. So hats off to you. I wish our listeners could actually see your hat, because you're wearing a Million Thanks hat. So thanks for promoting your merchandise as well as your company. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, because it's, like I said, it's been almost 2 decades that you've been at this. And there's been a couple other initiatives that have probably stemmed from A Million Thanks, where you've expanded your horizon and brought about a Grant a Wish and a Fund a Scholar programs within the umbrella of A Million Thanks. Do you want to talk a little bit about those and share the impact they've had with those initiatives with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did decide to start 2 other missions under the umbrella of A Million Thanks, really because we just over the course of the first 10 years of starting, obviously a big majority of that was sending letters. And it was during the time when we had a lot of troops deployed. We always have troops deployed, obviously, but an increase at that period of time. But what we also started noticing is that there was a really big gap in the support that our military and their families were receiving once they came back from being deployed or being medically discharged, or for those who didn't come back and who gave their lives for our country, kind of what was left behind in terms of their family. And so we started to see this gap, and I started to think, you know what, writing letters is great, and we will always do that, and that will always really be at the core of what A Million Thanks is all about. But what if we could expand A Million Thanks and truly make A Million Thanks be expressing gratitude to our entire military community and their families, and we could really become a one-stop shop for military support. And that was really my vision for A Million Thanks at that point. And so around the 10th anniversary of A Million Thanks, we added our Fund a Scholar and our Grant a Wish mission. And so our Fund a Scholar mission is all about providing higher education scholarships to children of fallen military. And so that is a really big piece, obviously, because now as these, as military was deployed in, the early 2000s, and a lot of them had really young families. Now we're talking about, 10, 12, 15 years later, all of these young kids are now in college. And if they lost a parent, while they were serving, we really wanted to make sure that they were taken care of in terms of their higher education goals. And so we provide scholarships, whether it's a 4-year university or vocational education. We want to make sure they're taken care of and that they are pursuing their career and pursuing their future aspirations. And so that is our Fund a Scholar mission. And then our Grant a Wish mission functions similarly to the Make-A-Wish organization. However, specifically, these are about granting wishes to our injured military. And so these are quality of life wishes. These are not financially based, paying a mortgage or, paying off debt, anything like that. These are more quality of life. And so just helping them maybe get back on their feet, helping them fund starting a new business, or maybe a hobby that they have, or sending their family on a little vacation to kind of rebond. And so that was a really big piece to try to support our injured military and our injured veterans once they came back from being deployed, and if they were discharged, if they could no longer continue their service. And so those are two of the additional ways that we really try to support our military community and their families.
I love that you've added to the mission over time and let it grow and evolve as you've seen the needs there with the military community. And I'm grateful that your organization's doing that. I am curious when I think about the letter campaigns that you've done. I know your initial goal was 1 million letters, and I can't help but think you've gone far beyond that at this point. How many letters has 1 million thanks facilitated today?
Oh gosh, we are just about at the 12 million mark for letters. And I was really keeping track when we, obviously the initial goal was 1 million. And then, I kind of upped the goal and kind of made it symbolic for, the number of military that we had, active duty military is 1.4 million. So I upped it to that. And then I upped it to 2.6 million, which is the number of active and reserve military. So I kind of kept upping it. And then I figured, no, you know what, we're going to still keep track, but we're just going to keep going. And so we're at just about the 12 million mark now.
That's awesome. That's outstanding. So if we've got somebody listening today and they want to be a part of that, I know that since we're partners with 1 Million Thanks here at Armed Forces Bank, they can go to any one of our branches and fill out a physical postcard to participate. They can go to our website. But if they're not where they can do either of those things, how else can people join the cause and send a letter of their own?
Yes. Well, first of all, you guys have just been an incredible help in our partnership over, the last several years. And so thank you for that. And thank you for making that an option and a possibility for your clients and your customers to come in and be part of that. And so, if you are near an Armed Forces Bank branch, please stop in there because everything is right there, right in front of you. And you can do it while you wait, or you can take it home and come back and drop it off. If you're not near one of those locations, you can actually go to our website. It's amillionthanks.org. And all of the information is on there. You'll see a little tab right at the top that says how to send. And you will send those letters directly to us, and we will make sure that they get overseas. So you're just responsible for getting them to us. And so we ask if you're just going to write, 1 or 2 letters, go ahead and put them in a standard size envelope. That's totally fine. If you're going to participate and write a bunch of letters, let's say with a classroom or a church or a business or an organization where you plan on sending, 30 or 50 or 100 or 200 or 500 or 1,000 letters, that you would just put all of those letters into one large envelope, like a manila envelope or maybe a large box, but that you would remove the individual envelopes. We try to reduce the amount of paper because it takes up a lot of weight to send overseas. And so we just send the letters by themselves. And so if you would do that and then send them directly to us, if you'd like to include a donation or make a donation on the website to help with postage, that is always appreciated. And we will always love that. It's not required, but that is the best way that you can participate in the Send a Letter mission. And all of that information, kind of the do's and don'ts and what to say and what not to say, is all on our website, amillionthanks.org.
Great. Thank you.
So I'm going to do a little fact checking with you, Shauna. You ready?
Yes.
And I always like, my kids give me a little grief because I get starstruck by being around celebrities, but you've been around a lot of celebrities in the last couple of decades, right? From George W. Bush to taking a photo with him early on back in the probably 2004, 2005 timeframe. You've been around Gary Sinise. You've been around John Michael Montgomery. I know there's a lot of country fans out there right now. That Letters from Home, what a great song that is. And to be able to use that in your campaign and your efforts, that, your father, correct me if I'm wrong, he started an Armed Forces Education Fund. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's actually where the inspiration from our Fund a Scholar really came from. And so Alice Wax, who he co-founded that with, she is the one responsible for making May National Military Appreciation Month. And so she was the one responsible for getting that bill passed through Congress and making May officially National Military Appreciation Month. And so Alice and my dad started the Armed Forces Children's Education Fund shortly after that time. And Alice actually kind of passed that organization along to me. And so what we really did is just decided to kind of roll it into 1 Million Thanks and to make that part of that mission. So It's been really, really neat to see just how far we go and really spreading the word about what National Military Appreciation Month is all about and getting other people on board to support that as well.
Great. Thank you for that. So any other brushes with celebrities over the years that we don't know about?
Tom's trying to live vicariously.
I have to. Just a couple? You got a couple or no?
Yeah. I would have to say probably my favorite experiences with celebrities. I definitely Gary Sinise was a highlight. I actually got to visit him on set of CSI and kind of hang out there for a little bit. That was really cool. But I have to say by far the most fun and kind of engaging community and kind of the celebrities surrounding it has really been NASCAR. We've done a lot of partnerships with a lot of different NASCAR tracks and drivers over the years. And I just have to say it is a ball of fun anytime, and just the most supportive community and, of all the celebrities, just the most genuine and just exciting to really participate and really get behind our military and get behind A Million Thanks. That's just been an awesome thing. Jessica Simpson was another one that we did a partnership, and she actually donated a good amount to our Fund a Scholar program. And so just a lot of really cool people who have gotten on board, which has been an awesome part of A Million Thanks, because really ultimately at the end of the day, that's what helps spread the word even further and has helped our missions really get to where they are.
Well, and thank you for that. And then the success of any organization are the people behind it. And just hearing from you and working with you as we have from a collaborative standpoint at the bank, you certainly are good people. And thank you for starting the organization and continue to have passion for it. So Jody's got another question for you.
Yes,
I do. I have to believe that part of our listening audience also might be in a position where either their employer or maybe they're a business owner, they might be in a spot where they would want to participate, kind of like we have done here at Armed Forces Bank. I know we've enjoyed being your exclusive financial services provider for all of the drop boxes. How would a different organization go about that process? I don't know if they would go through your website, if they would reach out to someone at your organization directly, but if they wanted to do something broader than just individual contributions or individual letters, how might you instruct them to go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we partner with different organizations and community businesses and schools and churches to become official drop-off locations for A Million Thanks. And so essentially what that means is if your business or organization wanted to be a drop-off location, you would essentially make yourselves open to your community to have your community come in and drop off their letters. And then your responsibility is to then get those letters to us, and then we make sure they get forwarded on overseas. And so there's actually an application on our website. Again, amillionthanks.org is our website. And there's an application right on there if you want to become an official drop-off location. We'll send you some materials and kind of some how-to. We're not just going to, have you set yourself up on your own. We'll make sure that you have all of the materials, drop-off collection boxes if you need that as well. And we love that. I mean, really, my high school was the first official drop-off location. That's where all of the letters initially came into until they realized, oh my gosh, we don't have enough room for all of these letters. But we really love our community partners and our drop-off locations because it's a way to just get involved in a little deeper level and really for you to make connections with your local community. And so we've got, restaurants that are drop-off locations and car dealerships and, different businesses and things like that. And so if that interests you or, you're part of a business or community organization, you're part of an Elks Lodge or, something like that, and you want your business, your organization to be a drop-off location, head to our website and all that information, the requirements, the application, all of that is on there, and we would love to partner with you.
That's great. I'm sure you'll hear from some organizations as a result of this podcast.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We talked earlier in the podcast, Shauna, about Military Appreciation Month, and I'm sure it's like you were part of the legacy of that back when Congress put that into reality for us. And like I said earlier, too, our banking centers are doing a lot during the course of the month to celebrate the calendar, to celebrate our service members. We're a dedicated military bank. We should be doing those things out there. And certainly some of the things that people can do are volunteer at a VA hospital or shop at military connected businesses or donate to a military nonprofit organization, send a letter to a public official just to see where they stand with their views on military families and veterans and see if they can make an impact that way. And one of the best things they can do too is to write a note card on behalf of A Million Thanks and send a note to someone serving overseas. And so Military Appreciation Month, I have to believe, is special for you in a lot of ways, Shauna. So are there some things that you're planning for this month that you might want to showcase with the audience?
Oh my gosh, we always have such incredible things happening during National Military Appreciation Month. And, we've got a lot of different, organizations who really like to highlight and prioritize serving our military during this month. And so, we definitely have a lot of things going on, but you can actually, even if you just do a quick Google search, there's a lot of blogs out there that have highlighted different things that people can do to support our military. I know there's a website, can't quite remember what it is, that shows all of the discounts for military throughout the month of May, different restaurants and things like that will offer, extra discounts or little freebies and things like that. And so really just sharing that with your military community, even if you're not military yourself, just sharing that with your military community. I mean, we all know somebody that is serving our country right now, whether they're at a base stateside or whether they're overseas. We all know somebody, within the 6 degrees of separation. And so I just really encourage you to kind of find those people that are in your community and share some of these things with them that could really support them during this time and show them that, yes, we appreciate them all year round, but this is an extra special month coming up where we want to recognize the amazing work that our military is doing for us and for our country.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think on Military Times or Army Times, Navy Times, Air Force Times, I think they can find those discounts too. There's a link right there. So thank you for bringing that up for our audience that, again, they can make their contributions and do their part. Here's another little tidbit about you, Shauna, right? You were on a radio show. Did you host a radio show?
I did.
Called A Million Thanks Radio?
I did. It was, it's so funny. Just kind of, I don't know, I guess growing up in the age of social media and electronics and internet and all of that, there was the very first basically talk radio. I mean, this was really before podcasts came out and before really any of that. And it was a company, it was an organization called WS Radio that was actually military owned. And they contacted me and they said, you know what? You've got such an awesome story, and I feel like you've met a lot of really cool people. Would you be willing to host your own, basically, talk radio show? And so it was just, at the time I was when I started it, I was a sophomore in high school. And so they just, obviously it was based down in San Diego, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. And so I had to drive down there, couldn't even do it remotely. Like that wasn't even an option. I had to drive down there once a month to record my radio show. And it was such an incredible experience because I kind of got to pull all of the people in that I had met along the way and just interview them about, what they were doing, whether they were military themselves, whether they were, other people who had started military organizations, high up generals, CEOs of companies that were supporting our military. It was just a really cool way to kind of document all of those different people that I had come across and what they were doing in support of our military. And so I did it for about a year and a half or so. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, just one of those things that you look back on and you're like, oh my gosh, before podcasts and all of this were even around, here I was driving to go record my, once monthly radio show. But it was an amazing experience to just be able to kind of document all of that because so much happened in the early days of A Million Thanks that, gosh, just kind of went right over my head. It was such a whirlwind. It was all happening so fast. So it was a really cool way to kind of document that.
Shauna, the story is inspirational. The message is inspirational. You are inspirational. And I think I can speak for both Jody and Tom today that when we say thank you for sharing the heart of A Million Thanks again with us and perhaps for the first time with our subscribers out there. And we're up to seven, is it 17 subscribers, something like, or is it over, are we over 100?
That, Tom.
Okay. We'd invite our audience to act on the opportunities they heard today and send a letter or find other ways to support the good work that you are doing, Shauna. Listeners, you can find a link on our website to send your personalized letter of gratitude or stop by any Armed Forces Bank or Academy Bank branch location to support A Million Thanks. So you did a fantastic job, Shauna. We'd also invite you to stay just for a couple more minutes while we wrap up this podcast today, because you know what time it is?
I do.
What
actually.
time is
I'm
it?
very excited. It's time to play Military Minute.
Is this something new?
No. Have you been here at previous podcasts? I think you have. Yes. No, we have some business to tend to. So I'd echo Tom's thanks, Shauna, and invite you to stay while we work through our Military Minute here and Tom's corny humor and see if we can get our audience what they're waiting for.
So what you're saying is Shauna is a little more smooth than I am?
She may be a little more polished.
Okay, well, I've got time. I'm not as old as you, but I have time
yes,
to get there.
We continue to beat that drum. Yes. So first, before we get to this week's Military Minute, though, Tom, we've got to close out unfinished business from last podcast. In the last Military Minute, if you recall, we had our guest from Tim and I from Armed Services YMCA, and we asked our audience how many ASYMCA locations were in the state of Alaska. I mean, it's a big state. So, and the answer, do you know? Have you researched this?
I think it's between 2 and 4.
Interestingly enough, it is 3.
It is bingo.
It is 3. Well played. Yes, there are 3. There is one at Eielson Air Force Base, one at Fort Wainwright, and also one at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. So watch for us to announce the winner for last week's Military Minute. But now what you're also waiting for, I think, Tom,
can I interrupt you again?
Eligible to play.
Can I just say, though, to be able to send a check, I'm going back to the 1970s, to send a check to a nonprofit organization from last week's winner to St. Jude's, that was awesome. It just gives you so much joy to be able to do that.
I know.
And give money back to an organization of his or her choice when they win this Military Minute.
So
you got to keep playing.
I know. And there's one way to play. You have to know the answer to this week's Military Minute.
What's the topic?
Well, it's going to be a million thanks.
Imagine that.
Yes. Play along here, Tom. So this week's Military Minute, we would like for you to tell us who said the following quote: "Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it." Don't answer.
For the benefit of the listeners, let's say that quote one more time.
Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it.
Shameful. It
is. But so if you haven't played Military Minute before, I'll let you know what you need to do now if you know the answer to that. You can jump on our Facebook or our Instagram account when we post and drop this podcast episode and post your answer. And you know what Tom was just mentioning, you would have a chance to win $50 for yourself and also $50 to a charity of your choice. Tom mentioned we were able to send a check to St. Jude's last week, which is amazing and awesome. So watch for our post, watch for the podcast to drop, and take action from there. You know what to do. And I'd just say thank you again, Shauna, for spending some time with us today and helping our audience learn more about A Million Thanks, for reminding Tom and I of why we enjoy partnering with A Million Thanks, and invite our audience, as Tom mentioned, to take action on what they've heard today.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you all. We appreciate the work that you're doing to continue to support A Million Thanks, and for all you're doing for your listeners to just share the amazing works that our military is doing, and just appreciate you guys very much.
Well said. Thank you. If you enjoyed today's episode, go out to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. Also, make sure to rate us. Leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform, such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Copyright 2022 Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or opinions of individuals referenced herein are their own, not Armed Forces Bank. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation and respective governing bodies for applicable laws, such as IRS.gov for current tax law. Armed Forces Bank, the Armed Forces Bank logo, and the Militarily Speaking logo are registered trademarks of Armed Forces Bank.